Hi, welcome to the Crafts channel. My name's Corinne Brad and today I'd like to show you how to make some crocheted face scrubbies like these so that all those horrible cotton wall pads that you've got in the bottom of your teenage daughter's bin are a thing of the past. Very simple to make. They're just made using double and treble crochet and I've got all sorts of oddments of DK cotton yarn that I've picked up at car boots and charity sales. And because they're cotton, they're very absorbent, so you can use your favourite cleansing solution and they really do get the dirt off. And then when you've got rid of them, or rather than chuck them in the bin, you just pop them in the wash with your normal wash and they'll come up clean. I don't recommend you do them in white because makeup does stain, but any other colour will be absolutely fine. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is. Take a 4mm hook and, as I say, some DK cotton yarn and make yourself a slip stitch by putting the yarn around your finger and then using your finger as a hook to hook it back up. So you've got a slip stitch. So pop that slip stitch on your hook, tighten it up. Don't make it really tight because it makes life really difficult to try and then get your hook back in. And then we'll just chain 4, and to chain you go round the hook and through, round the hook and through, round the hook and through, round the hook and through. And that 4 chain, we are then going to take your hook, pop it back in that first stitch, go round the hook and through both of them to slip stitch it into a loop. Now I don't know if you can see that, but there is a nice foundation loop. Just do 1 chain, and the reason we do this is so that it raises the level of the work up to the next row. If you don't do that chain, especially if you're working in what's called the round, it's really difficult to find out where you started and where you finished. So just by doing that, we'll raise up the work to the height that it will be. I don't really know how to explain this, but you'll see as I carry on. I'm now going to take this hook and I'm going to pop it back through the middle of that hole. This end here, keep this long end because you'll sew that in later. I'm just actually going to use that. In fact, I'm going to get it out of the way, make your life less complicated. Put the yarn over the hook, bring it back through the hole in the loop, so you've got two loops on the hook, round and through those 2. And that's made your first double crochet into the loop. In the hole, hook it out, round the hook, pull it through. In the hole, hook it out, round the hook, pull it through, and carry on doing this. You want about 6 or 7 double crochets in that loop, because what you do want to do is you want to make sure that your scrubby is nice and solid, so that it's not got loads of holes in it and it actually works as a scrub. Just pop another one in there. And then if you take this and into that first double crochet that you did, just pop your hook in there and bring it out and join up that row again with a slip stitch. So you've got a perfect little rosette, and that's your foundation rosette. And we're going to work trebles in here again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do them with treble clusters. So if you chain 2 to bring it up to the working height, because it's a treble it will be deeper than a double crochet. Yarn around the hook, into the hole, back out, yarn around the hook, through 2 loops. And with normal trebles, what you would do is you would then go round the hook and through the 2. Because I want to do this as a cluster, I'm going to go around the hook and put it back in and bring it out and then go through 2. And you can clusters are like little bobbles. You can continue doing that until you've got loads of hooks on there and then just pass the yarn through all of it and it creates like a bump in your crochet, but that's a demonstration for another day. But then you just bring the yarn around the hook again and pass it through all of those loops. And what it does is it makes that cluster of stitches, but you've only got 1 stitch on the top. So it squeezes them up, as it were. I'm just going to do a chain to separate it. And then I'm going to work another, let's see, I'll work another treble cluster into that same stitch to make it bulky. And this is what I mean by you've got loads of loops on the hook. You'll have all of them, but then you just pass it through and then do another stitch to separate them, and then work into the next double crochet in the ring. So round, in, out, round. I think I've said before, if you struggle to follow this, there is a little cogwheel at the bottom of your video screen, which is the settings, and you should be able to slow this video down. So it means I will talk very, very slowly, but it does mean that if you're struggling to follow what I'm doing, you can watch it in slow motion and it will make life easier. If you are confident with your crochet, you should know exactly what I'm doing here. I am just building up a ring of treble clusters, like so. And I'm just putting a chain stitch in between each one so that it doesn't roll up as you're working. Because what you want is you want a nice flat face scrubby. You don't want one that's sort of cup shaped. Although you could, if you did, it would make it much easier to stay on your hands. So I'm just going to complete this ring. So there we go. We've completed the ring, and as you can see, that's quite nice and sturdy. I've put a chain there, and I'm just going to slip stitch it into the beginning of that ring to make a circle. Let me just pull that. And then quite simply just make it as large as you want by adding more rows of treble clusters. Now what I would suggest, and it's a bit counterintuitive, that where you've joined it, if you do your 2 chains to make it up to your first treble, normally you work forwards, you work in an anti-clockwise direction, so you'd go into this stitch. I'm just going to work backwards and go into that joining loop. Oh, in fact what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the yarn around the hook first, because I'm doing a treble, aren't I? Around the hook, into the chain space, and round into the chain space and round to make that first treble cluster. And then I shall move on to the next chain space, which is here. And you know, if you struggle with trebles, clusters, you can just work them as an ordinary treble, but they won't be as padded. It'll be flatter. You won't get that sort of rough surface, which is what you want for getting off dirt and grime. And you can either go into every stitch, or you can go into every chain space. You could go into like one chain space twice and then the next one singly. It all depends on your tension, your thickness of yarn, and you know how flat you want your scrubby to be. I'm actually going to work 2 clusters into one chain space and then 1 cluster into the next one. But they're a non-disposable product. You know, they're not going to go on show. It doesn't matter if your Auntie Gladys says, well, you haven't got an even number of stitches on there. You're using them to take your makeup off your face. So you do it the way that you find easiest. And as I say, they are very easy to keep clean. I just pop them in our normal wash. And my daughter prefers them to cotton wool, especially, you know, she wears contact lenses and she finds it much, much easier to clean her face and especially her eye makeup with something like this, because you don't get those horrible fibres. And they last forever. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it has inspired you to make up a whole rainbow selection of crocheted face scrubbies like this. And if you enjoyed that video, we're going to try and do a few more things like this for you. So please do keep an eye on us, do subscribe to the channel, and then that way you get to see every new video that we do. So we will see you next time. Thank you for having us. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.